Hey, it's Megan of Hip Stitch Academy, and I'm a longtime sewing educator. I teach classes in person in the Catskills of New York. I have weekly classes, and I also have sewing retreats. You can come for a weekend and sew with me. But today I am prepping for his upcoming Zoom class. We are going to make the Ellsworth shirt by Merchant and Mills, and right now I'm going to show you how to cut the fabric out. Now I picked that piece of fabric, that beautiful piece of fabric up, and I folded it in half so that the two selvage edges are together, so that it's folded long and skinny. And this print happens to have a direction, so it can only go one way. So I flipped it over so I could have the fold over on the left and the two selvages over on the right together. So I am doubled. Now I have 2 yards of fabric, which this pattern calls for 2 meters. However, for this to work out perfectly, I was supposed to have had 55-inch fabric because the sleeve is built into the pattern. So I love this fabric. It's not 55 inches. It's only about 44 inches. So what I'm going to do is just make the sleeves a bit longer. It's an easy fix. However, you're going to see that I am going to struggle to get all of the pieces cut out in my 2-yard piece of fabric that I happen to have because it's not as wide as what the fabric calls for. So you'll see on the pattern that everything fits beautifully if it's nice and wide. But I made it work, and you'll see the things that I sort of had to do to make it work. So I am sacrificing sleeve length, which I'm fine with because I don't need it to be a 3/4 sleeve. And I'm using these little pieces that the side of the shirt cutouts leave me. There are 10 total pieces for the Ellsworth shirt. I have laid so far 1 and 2, as well as 6 and 10. And now I just put down piece 5. So piece 5 is the cuff. I need 2 of those. Piece 6 is the button placket. Do I need 2 of those? Yeah, I need 2 of those. And then piece 10 is the sleeve bias, which needs to be put on the bias of the fabric. Now, down below the back of my shirt, I have piece, let's see, I have the hem facing for the front, which needs to be on the fold. I have the hem facing for the back, which needs to be on the fold. And then I have the piece 7, the collar stand, which I need 2 of. And then finally I need the upper and under, so the top collar and the under collar. Now things are looking really tight down there, so I'm going to do a little switching around. There's a little bit of extra room under the sleeve on the back piece, so I'm going to move something up to there and see if I can't scooch everything just a little bit more because it's so close. So that's what I'm doing here. Now I want to point out with the top collar and the under collar, each of those things I only need 1 of. So I'm going to leave those aside. I'm going to go ahead and cut everything out with a rotary cutter. And I'm going to use pattern weights, which in my studio is usually just a bunch of scissors because I have a lot of pairs of scissors. And that's going to prevent the pattern from moving around. You can also use pins, whatever you prefer. Just make sure the pattern pieces do not move as you're cutting the fabric. And don't be afraid to kind of cut, pieces away so you can get a better position to get the angled pieces. I do that a lot. And all right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut. Once we get down to these collars, I'll explain what happens there. Okay, now with these collar pieces, I'm going to take what I have left, open it up since I only need one of them. These pieces are super, super similar, but they're slightly different. So definitely cut them separately. You only need one of each. And so that's what I've done is, what was left was on the fold. I opened it up and I have just enough room for the top collar and for the under collar. And that about wraps up all of the cutting. Don't worry about the interfacing. We'll talk about that in class, and I'll see you there.